Welcome to our Everlast Tech Support channel. Today we will be showing you how to replace the Dinse connection panel on your TIG unit. Once you have your machine opened up, we'll start by removing the 17mm bolt at the back of the Dinse connection and removing the two Phillips screws holding the plastic trim to the front bezel. Next, we'll want to remove the two Phillips screws and the 17mm bolt from the other side of the unit. Now we're going to move over to the control connections. We're going to unplug the trigger switch and the foot pedal control wires from the top control board. After cutting the zip ties on the wiring, you'll need to remove the Phillips screw that is mounting this ferrite ring to the top tray. The last step to remove this Dinse panel will be to pry off this pinch crimp for your argon hose connection and remove the argon line from the barb fitting. Now that we have the Dinse panel removed from the machine, we're going to need to take off the additional parts and install it on the new plastic trim. We'll start here by removing the control connection. It has 3 Phillips screws with small nuts on the back to mount it to the panel. Now we'll need to unwrap the wiring from the ferrite ring. So we'll mark the wiring on either side and cut the zip ties off of the mounting fiberglass. You will need to turn the connector sideways to be able to push it through the center of the ferrite ring. Now we're going to remove the gas fitting and the Dinse connections and transfer them onto your new Dinse panel. Now we'll start to reinstall the control connection. Now we'll begin to reinstall the ferrite ring and wrapping the control wires around the core. You'll reference the lines that you previously drew on the wire for your starting point. And then you need about 10 wraps. The second line that you drew on the wire will be referencing your finish point. After completing the wire wraps, you can install a zip tie and to remount the fiber plate to the coil as your mounting bracket. Now we're ready to reinstall the Dinse panel back onto the front of the machine. We'll feed the control wires through the center hole and install the gas line back onto the 9mm quick connect barb and tighten your hose clamp. As we begin to reinstall the mounting hardware to the Dinse panel, we'll want to ensure we reconnect all the electrical connections. The lower mounting screw will have a ground wire coming from the frame of the machine and a ground wire coming from the 7-pin connector. As we bolt the copper bar back to the Dinse connector, be sure to attach the other two electrical connections. Now we can begin to install the mounting hardware on the other side of the unit, as well as the Dinse connection bolt. Now that we have all the mounting hardware installed, we're just going to go back around and make sure everything is tight. Now it's time to complete the control wiring. We're going to feed the wires back up to the top tray and remount the fiber plate. So here I had a small problem where when I was trying to mount the fiber plate to the top tray, the wires were too short. So I had to pull the wiring back down out of the unit and flip the fiberglass plate to the other side of the ferrite ring so that the wires coming up from the control connection were coming off the same side as the fiber plate. After we finish mounting the fiber plate, we'll plug in the two control connections for your torch trigger switch and your foot pedal control. And finally, we can begin to zip tie and dress the cabling before we case up the machine. Thanks for working with us today. We hope that this video has helped you replace your damaged Dinse connector panel.